Hello, hello. We'll try this again. My voice has failed me on my last attempt at this. Uh, but right now it's raining buckets and cats out there, and dogs and thunderstorms. So, I mean, I have an excuse for not going outside. I think I have a raincoat, so I guess I don't have an excuse. But this is an umbrella weather out here. This is, you're going to get wet if you go outside type of weather. Um, I got this thing I haven't been talking about, but it's kind of hard to not talk about right now. I think I may have mentioned it, but I got like a bone shard, and it's like pushing up on a tooth that was pulled like a long time ago, and I don't know what's going on with it. But I kind of need to go to the dentist, and it's like probably not going to be able to do that. But it's like way on the inside of my face, so it's even kind of hard to reach with some kind of numbing agent. But I definitely don't want to chew on it. But it feels like a bone shard or something, like working through the gum. That's an unpleasant way to start a conversation, but it's kind of hard not to think about right now. Um, as far as yesterday was bad. I did get some things done, which I got rid of the dishes out of here and the bean cans and cleaned this up a little bit. Did the garbage in here and picked garbage up off the floor and cleaned up um, out there a little bit and did the garbage out there. And transferred my audio equipment into this room, which was funny when I got it all hooked together. I'm like, I don't know which chords work because I had a bunch of guitar chords that I got like I just bought like a lot of guitar chords, not like a lot of guitar chords, but like a lot 69, you know. And it was like just a bunch of guitar chords, and some of them worked, and some of them didn't work, and I threw most of the ones that didn't work out. But then some of them that I kept ended up not working either, so I didn't know which worked and which didn't work. So I plugged this guitar cord in, and I plug it in my guitar, and I'm like, "Yep, it works." But then I turn on the amp, and I just get hit with soaring Hendrix feedback, and it's like, oh, run over, and it's only 10 o'clock at night, and I turn it off, and my voice is going again. I don't know what's going on with me with that. I mean, if I don't get to talk, what can I do? Um, excuse me. But anyways, so I can set, I played through the amp once I got the feedback thing figured out. I played through the amp some in here. Um, the dude that's supposed to help me move is supposed to call at 1 o'clock, so I wanted to like slap together that riff and sort of like give it to him, and I'm say see if you can figure out what to do with this part of it, because there's a part of there where it needs chords, but I'm not a chords guy. So it's like maybe you can think of some chords to throw in here to keep the it goes keep the up do 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 do. But it has a part where it falls back into deeper notes where you can maybe get off some good power chords. I'm not a chord guy. I thought that one might be something I could do. I woke up at like 8:30. It's just way too late. I can't seem to go to sleep early and wake up early. So I might have to start setting an alarm. And I want to get up earlier. And I didn't make my list of things that I need to do and calls that I need to make. It was hard just to get moving. Depression's a bitch. It was hard just to get moving and do a little housework, and it's not it it's messed up because I know what it takes. I have the will to do what it takes, but I have a bad leg, and so it's like it's not just being depressed, like blah. It's like blah. I have to go walk on a bed of nails now. You know, it's like there's a difference I've found because as soon as I started cleaning, I was like, oh, this feels better than laying around watching reruns of Community. And it was kind of funny because that's the show I've been watching as I revisited that show named Community. I don't know if you're familiar with it. If you're an American, you're probably familiar with it, but with the internet, if you understand, I don't know. I don't know I don't know how the world works, but it was kind of funny. I was watching. I'm watching one show that has Alison Brie in it, which is the black-haired youngest uh, character on Community. And then I just randomly watched this series called Glow, and she's topless in it. And then I swear to God, I didn't even look who was in the movie. I just picked the movie on Netflix to watch. And she's full frontal nudity with the big old bush. I'm like, what is this, man? This Alison Brie person keeps following me around, man. What's up with this? But anyways, that movie was called something Horse Girl, I think it was called, but it was not what I expected at all. I was expecting something like a drama, maybe even a rom-com slash drama type thing. I don't know, but it was not that at all. It was about somebody losing their mind, hence the total nakedness, because she walks into a store like totally naked. And anyways, um, so yeah, that's just the laying around. It just gets old. Then walking around the torturously painful leg gets old, and fighting depression is very tiresome. And it's like the things that I need to do to get out of depression. They're all unpleasant. It's not like oh, I got to go walk on this healthy body and go outside and walk around and breathe fresh air. Ugh, how horrible. I'm not making fun of anybody with depression, but it's like I've been depressed before, and it's just a funk you get into. But I've learned over the years how to fight back from depression. I'm just saying that now it's like to fight back from depression, I have to endure a lot of pain and worry about falling over, which I did not have to worry about 5 years ago before I got the bad knee and the ankle, which definitely needs worked with. So when I labeled that I can't really afford to be depressed, it's like depression really is a luxury if you think about it. If you can afford to like lay around and wallow in your misery, it's kind of a luxury because most people have to drag themselves into work, or they have to keep going, or they have to do this, or they have to do that. But if you're on a fixed income, you can just lay there and be miserable, and watch 20 episodes of Community all in a row. Doesn't take long. If they're all the commercials are cut out, they're like 20 minutes a piece. So anyways, uh that's pretty boring, I guess, but that's how I spent my day. So boring or not, that's how I spent my day. And I finally got moving like 9:30 at night or so, and I'll try to, I don't really feel like it. I'm having digestive issues, which I assume is part of the party called CRPS. And yeah, I called. Well, you know, what can you do about that? Uh, it's always CRPS always does that to you. So there's not much you can do about it. You know. Anyways, I talked to my cousin in Florida briefly yesterday, the one that kneed my dad in the balls, and then I called my brother a couple of times because I've been, keeping in contact with him every day since his dog died. And I couldn't get a hold of him, so I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign. I couldn't get a hold of him, but he's mostly been kept busy, and he is now in charge of a 4.5 foot vicious iguana, which I don't see how that's a replacement for an affectionate dog who loves you. A 4.5 foot iguana that wants to rip your hands and arms open and slash you across the face with its tail. Iguanas are very dangerous. I've watched one maul a guy before. It's not good. They have very long claws and they can whip their tails. And they're nasty. And this thing's 4.5 foot, if you can imagine that. They get bigger. It's 12 or 13 years old. But I guess that was probably the thinking of the person that gave it to him, was like, well, now I'll have something else to mess with or to keep him busy. Or, I don't ask too many questions. It's like I just listen, kind of like a therapist. I just kind of listen and like, okay, I'll try to ponder the reasoning behind that a little later, but if it was me, I wouldn't want to be bothered, but everybody works different. Some people like to be bothered and like to, you know, keep occupied. It's good to keep occupied. I'm not saying it's not good to keep occupied, but I mean, there's occupied and being responsible for another living creature. That's two different things. Like if I could undo the existence of my cat and never have a cat, I would do it right now. If I could snap my fingers and George Bailey my cat out of existence, I would do it. Much as I like him, and he's a cool cat, and I forgot to open the window for him. Damn it! Which I don't know if he'd come out in this rain or not. Where he's at, I should go look for him. But I don't, it's going to cause me grief when I move. And he's not that much bother these days. It's been a really easy winter. No litter box cleanup because I let him in the morning. I feed him. He hangs around, and then he leaves before it starts to get dark. And sometimes he doesn't come in the morning until the afternoon. I just leave the window open and give him the choice. And the only thing I do with him is feed him and pet him. What could be easier than that? And I don't have to clean up after him unless he pukes, which cats do. Not one of them more, I guess dogs do that too, but I don't know. My dad didn't believe in dogs in the house. By the time he relented on his no dogs in the house policy, I was long gone. So I don't know if dogs do that stuff too. But anyways, I don't have a whole lot much to talk about that's pleasant. Yeah, as far as unpleasant, yeah, I'm always towing the line. It's like I don't have any viewership to really be respectful of. So I guess I should stop with the self censorship. But yeah, it's like I don't really like old man talk and for people to talk about such problems. But right now, I feel like my navel is a tire valve, and somebody has got a bicycle pump and is blowing it up. And it's like, yeah, my appetite's all been all disrupted and stuff, and my digestion is not digesting. We'll put it that way. Why do I got to be like that? I don't know. I guess I just. It's not that it's too personal or anything. I don't care. It's just like I don't like old man talk. It's like the head goes and the body follows. So I don't like to talk about those kinds of things. I don't want. I get. I really do think that you think young is the way to go. Sometimes I think too young. You know, being an arrested adolescent, I think too young. But yeah, that's just the way I kind of feel about it. It's like think young, be young. You know, you and at some point you, you feel that age hit you and stuff. And but with me, I've always been having physical problems. It's just since the knee thing of 5 years ago or so. It's just been yeah, it's just been very disruptive. I'm boring as hell. Well, if you're boring, I suppose you should leave people alone. Um, but yeah, I should get on that, moving around, trying to have good morning constitutional, trying to be less Victorian about speaking about basic bodily functions that we all have to deal with. Um, yeah, I don't know if I feel like plugging in my guitar or not, but I should plug in my guitar and do what I said I was going to do and make that little video so that when I talk to the guy at 1 o'clock, if the guy keeps his appointment, as he called it, you know. So I understand that people just say things like, we ought to do this and we ought to do that, or we ought to do that. So I was like, well, I'll do all the work. I was like, instead of like he said he'd send me a link to some kind of thing where we could um, like a video conferencing thing where we could play guitars together. And it's like, yeah, I don't see nothing in my email, so I'll just send you a riff. You know, I don't know how to play guitars with people, but I send you a riff and then see if you want to mess with it, and see if you want to expand upon it or add anything to it. It's not complicated. But then, like I showed in one video, the riff to uh, Eric Clapton and Cream's most famous song, probably "Sunshine of Your Love," is just a blues scale walk down. Do 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 do. There's more to the song, of course, than that. But I always felt like they should have hired a singer. Eric Clapton's he didn't be he learned how to sing better when he got older. You know, Tears in Heaven, and stuff like that. But when he was younger, he wasn't a singer. The worst example of that is a guy named Roy Buchanan. If you ever want to hear somebody play a guitar, play it pretty, that's the guy. But I don't like Guitar Hero type shit. But there's like a song. I'll throw it in the link. You can give it a listen. I think it's called "The Messiah Will Come Again," where he just raps out a few lines at the beginning of it and then just plays a bunch of pretty notes. That guy was something else. The funny part is what little fame he's got is off of a video called, or a special that PBS made called "The Greatest Guitar." It's called something like "The Greatest Guitarist You've Never Heard of," and people still have never heard of him. That was the thing that gave him a little bit of fame, was this special about him. That was pretty interesting. But his problem was, I don't think he was a songwriter. He's just a guitar player, so he didn't have the original material. And he insisted on being his own singer, and he's a terrible singer. It's like he's got perfect. If you got perfect pitch on a guitar, how can you not hear that you're a terrible singer? So yeah, I'll put a link to that. "The Messiah Will Come Again," if you haven't heard it, by Roy Buchanan. If you want to hear somebody play a guitar beautifully, make you cry. Anyways, yeah, I should make my list today, and can't seem to figure out how to wake up early enough. So my failing alarm clock, which I've been this alarm clock, you want to talk about old? This alarm clock is old, like on its last legs, old. Like every time that I have to program it, I don't know if it's going to work or not, or it's going to give up the ghost. So I accidentally unplugged it last night when I was plugging in my guitar workstation, and I was like, "Oh no!" I unplugged it, and then you like have to hold down the buttons for an extra long time, and like, come on, you can do it. It's not all its fault. It suffered a severe injury when OCD, the white cat that used to crash here, which I don't know what happened to him, but when he knocked it over and broke it, and the six kind of looks like a five, and like he actually, I mentioned that before, but because he broke that clock, I was in a hurry and I misread the clock because it's a digital clock, and some of the bars just disappeared and are missing on it. And I misread the clock. Is I went out early, uh, and I was like, well, I can sit. I was avoiding the alcoholic war veteran guy, and I misread the clock, and I went outside and sat like an hour early for my appointment because the six looked like a five or the five looked like a six or some damn thing. And the point being is like that's how I got enmeshed with that dude. It's like I successfully avoided him. I had heard that he'd been talking some shit about me behind my back, and I knew that he was mental. I was like, well, I can go out there for just a few minutes because my ride will be here shortly, and talk to him and just say like, nothing personal. That's just the way I am, and try to like, you can ask anybody in the building here. That's just my MO. But instead, because my cat knocked over my clock and I couldn't read the clock right, I went out an hour early. So I just sat there and had an hour conversation with the dude, and the rest is history. Um, what was supposed to be like a quick 5 to 10 minute brush off turned into an hour conversation, hour plus conversation. It's more like an hour and 20 minutes since my ride was a bit late to go to some appointment or another. Um, the main thing I have to worry about, of course, is what I talked about yesterday. Is I do not have enough of my blood thinner pills, so I have to look that up online. At, at least, I really do need to make a list because the depression is swallowing me. So I need to make a list of things I need to do. And I don't know why, but I haven't been breathing very well lately. But oh, my cousin in Florida was working in a sawmill, and they just keep him working at this one job, right? And at first, he suffered racism because he was coughing, and he had to explain to people, like, I've been a smoker for 40 years. That's a smoker's cough. It's not a COVID cough. And they bought that. But then he, like, his nose was running and stuff, and he was coughing more than usual. And he said it wasn't like a smoker's cough. And he said they wanted him to say whether he was sick or not. So he went into work, and he fessed up that his nose was running, and that he was coughing more than usual and stuff. He fessed up to his boss, and his boss was like, "Do you have a fever?" And he was like, "No." He goes, "Well, then you're good to go. Go work." And he was thinking about why he was working. He was like, "Oh yeah, they switched me from my normal job, and I had to fill in for this other guy yesterday, and I was breathing in a bunch of sawdust." So he actually tricked himself into worrying whether he had COVID or not. I thought that was kind of humorous. But this is 25 minutes of banality as far as I'm concerned. I'm gonna boo and hiss at myself now. Excuse me. Boo! You're boring. Get off the stage. Okay, I'm done. Uh, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. And yeah, sooner or later, I'm gonna figure something out about sitting outside. because I need to sit outside. And I'll let you know how the now I got to fight this depression crap on top of this, but I'll let you know how if I figured anything out as far as like dealing with my various issues. And I'll let you know how it goes with the dude. It would be cool to have somebody to play, to indulge my hobby with, because as far as a guitar player, I'm not a loner. I'm not the type of guy that's like, I can get started playing guitar if I have somebody that I can play guitar for later. I can sit and practice, and I'm like, well, this will be neat. But I don't. If I don't have an audience, at some point, I'm like, I don't want to do it. And um, as far as my fingers, it takes time to get your fingers in shape anyway. But anyways, I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.